So 2022 brings some huge developments into the electric vehicle market. First of all, there's some tax credits that are brand new for the year. There's also some industry developments. We're going to talk about all of those, especially the new requirements and also new developments for the IRS for taxes, even some maybe on used vehicles. But first, let's take a look at something that is a very overlooked but significant story about development of electric vehicle markets. So a lot of people are waiting that electric vehicles need to be more mainstream, but one of the holdups is the recharging versus refueling. If I think about a tank of fuel versus a fast charge, we're nearing a place where the business fundamentals on the fast charge are better than fuel. And this is from BP, British Petroleum, major gas station operator. And they're saying that they're already delivering profit margins very close to those of traditional gas stations. Think about it. Everywhere you look, you can't turn the corner and not find a gas station. They're everywhere. Sometimes on a four-way stop, there's one on all four corners. EV charging stations are harder to find. Part of the reason is business economics. If it's very profitable to have a gas station, then they're going to be everywhere, like they are. If EV charging stations aren't as profitable, no one's going to build them, or not as much. But the rapid rise in EV charging demand and profitability will have a huge expansion for companies like BP that have been losing money. The tide is now shifting, according to this article. Basically, what it's saying is that the gas station operating companies are now seeing where they're going to be making money on pumping electricity versus pumping gas. Huge, huge development. So we'll see more charging stations soon. What about taxes? Well, they're also talking about there's a federal EV tax credit, as we know, and we'll take a look at that form here momentarily. Legislation was introduced that could have EV tax credit for used electric cars. Dubbed the Affordable EVs for Working Families Act, the bill would create a tax rebate of $2,500. How is that going to help the market, or maybe even help you as a consumer? Well, even if you buy a brand new electric vehicle or a used one today, if there's a tax rebate for that vehicle in the future, that's going to increase your sales price, your market value for that used vehicle, right? It's going to make that used vehicle be worth more in the future, so you have a higher resale value. And the bill says a car has to be at least 2 years old and cost less than $25,000. So you have to make sure you're not trying to sell one that's too much money. And also that the buyer has certain income requirements, right? You can't, if you make more than $75,000 for an individual or $150 for joint, the eligibility would be phased down, meaning you're going to get less than $2,500, right? It'd be a big win for EVs. So this is something to keep in mind, that resale value on used EVs is probably going to be affected in a good way. How does it work for new vehicles? Well, here's the form 8936 for qualified plug-in vehicle credits. You put in the vehicle you've purchased, how much it costs, what date you purchase it. If you have a business investment, you put that calculation. Maximum credit per vehicle is $2,500 on a new vehicle. And you do all the calculations, and you attach this form to your tax return, and you get the credit. What are some of the requirements? Well, they added two-wheel vehicles now. Not that there's too many of them, but if there's a two-wheel vehicle, like a motorcycle, it's allowed. But the credit is no longer available for Tesla or GM vehicles with four wheels. Why is that? Why is that? Well, because it phases out if they sell enough cars. How does that work? Well, if the manufacturer has built and sold 200,000 vehicles, the phase out then does 50%, 25%, and then no credit after 200,000 vehicles for 6 months at a time, 2 quarters, 2 quarters, 2 quarters, right? So what they're trying to do is to get manufacturers a head start on models. Well, Tesla and GM are already at the head start. So that credit phase out is something to keep in mind as you're looking at vehicles. And there's other manufacturers who are getting close to that. Here's the requirements to make sure you qualify. Yeah, you have to be the owner of the vehicle, right? If you lease the vehicle, then the leasing company gets the credit. Hopefully they pass it along to you as part of your negotiation. You have to place it in service during that tax year. It has to be a street legal vehicle, right? It can't be an off-road vehicle. The original use of the vehicle began with you. This is for a new vehicle. So remember, used cars are going to be phased in at some point, but for now, the original use has to be you. You bought it for yourself, not to resell. You can't be a flipper. And it's a U.S.-based vehicle, right? So those are some of the requirements that you have to abide by. And it does no longer have to be certified by a specific make and model. That's something that used to be in the requirements before. So these are some significant changes in the electric vehicle tax credit. And it says, what is the qualified vehicle definition? It's a new vehicle with at least 4 wheels that is propelled to a significant extent by an electric motor that draws electricity from a battery, capacity not less than 4 kilowatt hours, and less than 14,000 pounds. It can't be a big truck, right? It's capable of being recharged from an external source of electricity, so it's not a hybrid. Hybrids don't count. So you can refer to these. We'll put links in the description. Also, for 2022, we'll take a quick look at a couple of the new vehicles. Obviously, the Lightning is a highly expected truck that's going to be out soon. They already got 44,000 reservations in the first 2 days. This is about a month and a half ago that this happened, 2 months ago now. The new Audi A6 is going to be an interesting car hitting the market. BMW and Audi and Porsche will have some new vehicles coming out in the next 24 to 36 months because a lot of these companies are getting away from internal combustion engines, only going to EV. The Ford F-150 Lightning looks just like an F-150. Same body, same little door step that it's always had. Citroen, kind of a non-issue. They're not going to sell too many of those cars. Hummer is going to come out with an EV. Not sure how well that will do. It kind of looks, they're trying to make that look like that new Bronco, but so far the results of reviews aren't that great. Lucid is something that is highly anticipated, but it's likely that the final version is going to look significantly different from this prototype. And then some Highline cars, Maserati, Polestar, which is behind what Volvo makes. Right now the XC90 has a plug-in for Volvo. Fisker. Kia is going full bore with EVs. So that's an example of what's hitting the pipeline in the next 24 months or so. The most important thing is used car EV credits will have an effect, domino effect on all cars, even new cars. So that's the news for 2022 for some new developments. Keep an eye on the channel for some more instructions on checking out batteries on used EVs. That's something very important. Even if you're going to get a $2,500 credit, you don't want to buy a vehicle that needs a $8,000 battery. It defeats the purpose. So checking out the EV battery is still going to be important. And keep an eye on the channel for more developments, and you can subscribe or like to be included when the next video comes out.